Cybernation Uncensored.
Going live. Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tales from the Forlorn Dopes. I am your host, Cybersmily, with my co-host.
Greetings, programs. I am your co-host, Wisdom000. We are very happy to be here today, and we have a special guest, line developer for Cyberpunk Red, James Hutt, has returned.
Hey everybody, it's nice to be here. Nice to talk to you guys again.
Yes,
it's been a while.
It has been a while. I think the last time I saw you was at Gen Con briefly. So
we were wall to wall. I would have spent more time.
Yeah, I know. Those sessions were hectic. It was like I was just amazed at how quick, the tables were turned around and everyone's gaming, and it was a good time. You guys definitely put on a great experience for everyone.
Well, thanks. So, how's the weather over there?
Cold. It's not cold for me.
For me, I just spent the weekend in Colorado, so the weather there was great. And then I come back here to Arkansas, and it's just okay.
It's actually a pretty beautiful day up in Seattle. Been a miserable couple of days, but today's very, very pretty.
Well, Seattle is kind of like London. You get 80% rain.
We get a lot of rain.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of just clouds too, with a little rain, which we don't even call rain anymore. That's just ambient air water.
That's why coffee is the drink of choice over there.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Coffee.
So,
and if you really want to wake up, just jump in Puget Sound.
Puget Sound. I think you'd start melting.
Yes. So
come out of the water looking like the dude from RoboCop who gets doused in industrial waste.
Yeah.
Well, that, and it's also freezing.
I recently made a friend from Canada that was like, and yeah, I heard you can't swim in the water here. And I'm like, oh, we should have had more regulation. Why?
Yeah. Oh,
just cruise down the coast to Oregon and go swimming at Seaside. It's all pretty.
Very cold though.
Very, very cold.
You guys want to talk about some tabletop role playing games or something?
Yeah.
We should probably do that. Yeah, that does seem to be the focus of our channel. We should probably get around to that.
Yeah,
what's coming down the pike?
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm sure you guys are fully in tune with all the announcements, obviously. More than anyone, maybe. There have been a lot of them. We got Blue Moon coming up from Talsorian.
Yep.
That's from the mind of Cody Pond-Smith.
That's Mike Pond-Smith's son. And
son. It's a fantastic game. I can't talk too much about it because we're kind of playing it really close to the chest right now. But I will say that it is a real one to look forward to. It's a big, full line, and I wouldn't spoil somebody else's lifelong passion project. Since he was a kid, he's been making this game.
Okay.
So
can you answer one question about it? Is it going to use the interlock system?
Unfortunately, I even can't answer that question.
Ooh. Oh man, you guys are keeping it close.
Yeah, it's not my news to break with that one. I'm happy to tell you anything you want about the stuff I'm working on.
Sure. So,
No,
All right.
November.
they promoted me to run a line,
Yeah.
5 by Infinity, and the first game coming out for that line going to be a game about dinosaurs called Fossilized Violence.
Interesting.
Man, am I jazzed!
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
You have some more info about that besides a name?
Like, do you play dinosaurs or do you play cavemen? Like, what's going on?
I'll give you the like 10-second version.
Yeah.
So you play as cavemen fighting to survive in a world dominated by dinosaurs. The whole game is this sort of inversion of of childhood play. So you can play this game on the table. You can put your childhood dinosaur toys, and they are completely compatible with the game.
Nice.
The game works on special movement. That means it's a gridless system,
Okay.
which means that basically you don't need a dinosaur that happens to be on a black plastic circle.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can play with anything. If you want to play with action figures for your guys, you can do that. Because it's meant to be a game that, takes childhood hitting dinosaurs together games that you may have played by yourself or with your brother or sister. And it's meant to sort of take that and then put it in a more mature context. These dinosaurs are going to get real bloody.
So what you're saying is you're giving us an excuse to rip open the packages
Buy dinosaur toys as an adult.
of our collector Jurassic Park action figures.
You want to pull out the dino damage stuff, it'll be one. You might want to pull out a reproduction and not an original. But two, there'll be tons of awesome crits that you can do to those diamond dinos to pop off those dino damage sections. And dino damage is an if you know thing for if you played with dinosaur toys as a kid.
They allowed you to play much gorier games than I would imagine most parents were probably comfortable with at the time.
Right, exactly. That's the vein we're going here.
Okay. Are there any
Anyway.
other
Actually,
products lined up?
I used to run a
And
Sorry.
anything else?
prehistoric Neanderthal game with Interlock Unlimited. So that, what rule set does it use? Does it use Interlock or something?
Not using Interlock.
All right, something new and different.
It's using a brand new system I invented.
Nice.
Excellent.
But I think we're gonna be calling out for more playtesters in the next couple of weeks. So if you want to play it, we're gonna have a playtest. But I hesitate early on the design process, like we are, to give you a rundown of systems that may change.
Of course.
But it's not Interlock.
Cool.
So what else is coming out under this imprint? Anything? Any plans?
So for 5 by Infinity, we want to do 3 things with it. We want to re-release some classics.
Oh yeah.
No news on what classics those may be at this time, but we want to do it there. 2, we want to do games that don't need to be 200 pages. Not every game needs to be the size of Cyberpunk Red Core book.
No.
Yep.
It's simply unnecessary. We want to make games that are able to fit in a smaller thing. Maybe you throw them into a bag type games, and play them in a grab and go basis, right? We're going to experiment with different book sizes toward this end. So smaller size book, not a full one. So it's going to work for your sling bags, etc.
Digest size stuff.
Digest size stuff.
That's cool.
we're looking at a couple of different sizes right now, so no specifics. We were looking at like a 5x8 style book. If you've ever seen one of those.
Yeah.
But that's cool. So we're doing 3 things with it. I want to get back to that. We're going to release some classics. Excited to get to it. No word on which classic. 2, we're gonna make cool small games that are brand new with new designs and are going places that untrodden.
Okay.
Wild stuff.
So
We're gonna make cool stuff.
RPGs?
They're gonna let me do whatever I want.
Are they going to be RPGs, board games?
RPGs.
Okay.
They're all RPGs.
I mean, it sounds like you guys are going back in the day. My favorite board game company was Cheap Ass Games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys.
We are very inspired by them.
They were the greatest. I mean,
he's great. By the way, the guy's the GOAT. Ernest, right?
I mean, for those who don't know, the Cheap Ass Games were just these inexpensive board games. They just came in this. Each one of them just came in a little envelope. They cost like maybe $8 a piece, and they were just insanely fun. Things like Kill Dr. Lucky, which was like Clue in reverse, where you hunt him down, Ben-Hur Chariot Racing. I mean, and if you guys are doing that with RPGs, that's special.
I will say we're not gonna hit $8 with printing costs.
Oh no, there's no such thing as $8 anything anymore.
Yeah, that's very true. Hardly get a bottle of water for less than $1.
Yeah.
But my point.
I mean, I spent that much on a Coke on the plane ride back.
Oh well, you were on a plane. You deserved it. Anyway.
But yeah, you've instantly got my attention.
Yeah, so we're trying to get space to do things that are gonna work to our strengths, and let us lead with design, and really try some new stuff. This is the second thing we're doing. We're gonna try new things.
Awesome.
Number 3 is we want to use the imprint to work with fantastic creators outside of us. So we want to use it as a publishing arm.
Nice.
But we're going to be hyper selective.
As well you should be.
Exactly. Because we are... so there's... And I'm assuming there's at least one game designer listening to this podcast right now. So the benefit of working with us here is going to be that we aren't a company that's repping like 30 indies at once, where you'll be assigned to someone who has multiple other games to rep. The benefit here is we're going to get less of them, but we're going to give them more hands-on time, etc. And they're going to be more of a priority, we hope.
Smaller classroom learning. Yeah.
We hope that people who we choose to partner with will feel like they're partnering more closely with us than they would another publisher. Anyway, that's number 3. I am, of course, super excited to get out there for these conventions and meet a bunch of people. And I have no announcements on number 3 as well. I'm sorry I came on this podcast with absolutely nothing to announce. But
that's okay. We'll grill you anyway.
Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you can't specify any of the classic titles that might be coming out under this line, but you put out Artalsorian's put out products in the past that fell under borrowed creative licenses, or as it were, things like Bubblegum Crisis and Dragon Ball.
Yeah, stuff we don't have the license for anymore, which is the only reason that we can't sell it. Of course, I love those games. By the way, I'm a big fan of those games too.
Like Bubblegum Crisis is probably my number 2 game of all time behind Cyberpunk 2020.
Wow.
And really, I just treat it like Cyberpunk 2020 supplements anyway. So,
Right, yeah.
um,
I imagine.
so there's no chance of like a reprint on that.
I won't close the door to anything. I don't want to get into the habit of deconfirming stuff that very well may be talked about in the future. But, I would say it's not a no, it's not a yes. It's an I don't know anything about that answer, so I can't.
Okay. Well, I mean, the studio rights are so just all over the place at the moment for the Bubblegum Crisis franchise that I didn't think that it was a possibility anyway. I was just
a lot of very powerful legacy anime. Sorry, this is a lot of shop talk that's about to happen, but a lot of very powerful anime franchises from that era have had the ways that they do licensing change entirely.
yeah.
So it's just a whole different world now in that era. I mean, there was a time where, RTAL got the Dragon Ball license at one point. They got the Gundam license at one point. Or Mechton was adapted with the Gundam license, and it's Japan only.
Yeah, we didn't get that, and that made quite a lot of people sad.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Harmony Gold didn't try to go after our Talsorian because of Mechton.
I think we were too small.
Yeah, true. Didn't get noticed.
Well, plus, like he said, it wasn't available here, so there was nothing for them to go after.
True.
Harmony Gold can't say boo about what's released in Japan.
Very true.
Otherwise, we probably never would have gotten any new Macross at all.
Oh, Macross. My buddy in college was like the premier. Those like Dragon Ball Bridge on YouTube, which is like Dragon Ball, but they put really funny comedy over it.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
My friend did that for Macross.
Nice.
Google it. It's Did You Forget About Love Again? And Don't Stop Forgetting About Love are the two series ones. I think you just put it all in a big video.
That's beautiful. Yeah, 19. Do You Remember Love? It still ranks in my top 10 anime films of all time.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Anyway, I'm a big robot guy, so very excited.
That's one of many reasons you fit in so well there at Artalsorian.
Yes. Everybody here likes giant robots.
I think it's a requirement. I think that's that's got to be one of the questions they ask before they even let you walk in the door. Like, yeah.
That was how I got hired, low key.
Yeah.
I was going around town, trying to sell a board game I had made called Triangulate. Not available right now. And I met him in a comic book shop. Followed up because, of course, Mike Pondsmith, you gotta ask him questions about how to get into the industry. And second time, I dropped like a full week on making a prototype just to show him, and it was Gundam related, and he really liked it. So much so that it opened the door.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, it's, as it would, because those guys are all fiends for that stuff.
That's good stuff too. Anyway,
so
I think that's the that's all the new stuff that isn't announced. We got Next Interface Red coming up.
Yes,
hasn't been announced as to when it's coming out, but I have been working on it.
Awesome. Do we get a preview of what the new article is going to be?
No, but I will tell you that this article is longer than any of the other ones.
Cool.
So you're gonna get some serious content in this long article. I think it might after we put all the art in, it might be twice as long as Drones, but I am unsure. It might be almost twice as long.
I mean, I just love that interface continues on. Like that is such a beautiful reference to the old Chris Hockabout and Thaddeus House's fanzine. Like I love seeing that go on. We had Chris Hockabout on the show a few episodes ago. Yeah,
I've actually never met the man.
it was he was pretty thrilled about it too.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
So speaking about releases,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
I am learning stuff too.
yeah. Derek has been Derek is in contact with quite a few of the old timers.
Old timers.
Yeah, well, you know,
I mean,
it's 30 years plus.
these are the guys who created the bit of fiction that I have dedicated an embarrassing amount of my life to.
Yeah.
How embarrassing.
Yeah, they are personal heroes.
It's embarrassing to love nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
That's embarrassing. That's cringe.
To have no passion about anything, it must be a very sad life.
Indeed. Not a cyberpunk concept. Having passion about nothing. That's a different genre.
So
that's noir. I think part of that is in noir.
I don't even think it's noirish because all those guys have at least passion about liquor and guns and sultry women.
And cigarettes.
I don't know. It's some like having passion about nothing. That's like some Hemingway shit.
I don't know. I have to read The Old Man and the Sea in a bit. I remember reading The Old Man and the Sea, and this is really far off topic, and I apologize. and being like, oh, he's got like 6 fishing rods at once. That's so cool. And, you know, of course you would have multiple fishing rods. All you're doing there is sitting on a boat. You got time.
Yeah, sitting on a boat, drinking, waiting for the fish to come to you.
Yeah.
Like that's the life right there. And you get back to shore and drink some more.
Maybe that was the Pearl, not the Old Man in the Sea. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
I think that's the Pearl. I think you're right.
Okay.
Anyways.
So please, someone help me.
Sure.
Get back to the topic.
November 7th of 2022, it was announced that the Edgerunner mission kit is being worked on. How is that going along?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that.
I will say it got tested at the show you were at.
Yes. And I did test it.
And you did get to test it, so you know it's good. Is it good?
It's interesting. I mean, there's.
It's interesting.
I think
it's interesting.
At
least it's interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, I had a little bit of critiques, which I fed back to Jay. But overall, you know, the players loved it.
We did make changes from the playtest. Don't worry.
I kind of figured that. Just because I crunched some of the numbers and I was like, ooh, that's a pretty powerful thing you got there. And
see, I didn't get to see it, and I'm insanely jealous of you, Will, and you get to rub that under my skin forever. But I am excited about the idea of quick hacks in your games.
Yes, I will say I think we're done with the design part of that book, so we're just bringing it all together and working on and of course we're going through processes that are important for any licensed product. It takes a while, just because it's not just us.
Yep.
License, like on Red, we wouldn't have to go through a big long process, except to make CD know and make CDPR know, hey, we're doing this in the past, because we like to keep a consistent canon.
Yeah.
But when we're in when we're in talking about 77 era-ish stuff, that's when we start getting more close
Right.
on that.
Now, did you guys?
I will say that design-wise, it's quote unquote done. So don't worry, it's coming down the pipe.
How much leeway on the timeline between 2045 and 2077 do you guys have to play with? Like any at all? Like, can you guys? Is there a cutoff date?
We have tons of leeway. There is a cutoff date, but that's internal.
Okay. I was just very much wondering how that worked.
We have some space.
Okay, that's fucking awesome.
And I'm very excited for all the other cool stuff happening Cyberpunk wise. Do you hear there's a live action announced? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's look into that.
I've seen Cyberpunk done with various live action rule sets before. It was all like independent stuff. So to see something official coming out, that's going to have a lot of people very excited. I know I don't know if the LARP community is as big as it once was, but I know that within the communities who still do it, it's huge.
I am, of course, very excited for that too, but I'm talking about a Netflix thing.
Yeah, CDPR.
Oh, that. Okay, I thought you were talking about live action role playing news.
No,
the live action Netflix Cyberpunk.
We're tripping on all of the new Cyberpunk content.
Yeah.
How much bigger can this franchise get? First, there was an anime, which was the dream come true of every single person who played this game in the 90s or worked on it or even looked at it. There was an anime, and they didn't take it the direction I personally wanted it to go. I would prefer it to be much more grounded. Not so like we're going to ignore physics and all that.
At least they only did that in the final episode.
No, they kind of did that with every fight. Like the way and the way Sandevistan worked in the game.
About anime too.
I'm old school.
You would want them to make a whole thing about Sandevistan being a +2 bonus to initiative.
Yes, like I would have preferred it be more realistic, closer to what the game is.
Honestly, I thought it would be the tomato juice scene from Trigun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where the guy squirts a thing in his eye?
Yeah.
That's always what I thought it would be like. But I like how they did it, and they did it in a very visual flair way.
Yes.
It was. I mean, visually it's beautiful. I just would have preferred, like I said, a little more grounded, a little more standalone complex or Bubblegum Crisis. Just
Ghost in the Shell.
Fantastic. Yeah, just keep it.
You're gonna be a happy man pretty soon with your Ghost in the Shell love.
Oh yeah?
Can't tell you about it.
No, you can't. No, you do not. You don't get to bring up Ghost in the Shell and then say, I can't tell anybody about it. I mean, the very first source book I ever wrote for Cyberpunk was a Ghost in the Shell Appleseed gear catalog.
I know. I've
way
read
back in. Yeah. So you don't get to tease me like that.
Oh, I do.
You got to give me something. A little bit. Give me
It's okay. Your birthday's coming up. We had to do something nice for you.
All right. Well, maybe Christmas.
Yeah, surprises on your birthday. Whatnot. Anyway.
But the live action idea is...
Tons of DLC coming out as well for Cyberpunk. There's Halloween scream sheets available now.
Yeah, the October DLC. I like that stuff. That's the kind of stuff I dig. A little adventure sheets, bits of lore.
There's going to be more of that coming in. I'm sort of so like in the beginning of a design cycle on anything, you need a bunch of like hands-on when you're a designer. you need an extreme amount of hands-on time with the property. Now we're at the point where I have I can only come in when they need me, basically. So I can focus on the hard stuff that only I can do on other projects for Tau. So one of the things I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stepping back from doing as many of the DLCs myself. But because of that, we're going to get all this cool stuff like the DLC this month coming in.
Yep.
And I'll be able to, come back every once in a while, of course, still, because I can't stay away. At the end of the day. I just need more time to work on dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs. A while back, you guys mentioned rusted chrome. Is that still a thing?
I mean, the name might not stick. That was always a working title.
Right, but a Nomad-based source book, is that still...
Well, the idea of are we ever going to do another Chromebook? The answer is we're probably going to do another Chromebook if that's the answer you want it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a given. I was more like Nomad-focused source book. Like, I desperately want to see how the Nomads work in the world of Red.
I cannot confirm nor deny things that have yet to been announced. We were trying a lot of things. And we gotta look at a bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah. Well,
it might be later on before we get more Nomad focus stuff.
Derek needs to know
How about,
what happened with all the nations.
I mean, we haven't gotten any of the what happened with all the nations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're existent.
Okay.
I think there's lore about a lot of them in Black Chrome. I tried to put lore about all of them in Black Chrome just so people knew where they stood.
Right.
We know that sometime
even the meta
2045 and 2077, the nations are pretty much like they mention Snake Nation and they mention Aldecaldos, but none of the other nations really get mentioned at all, and it's like they disappear.
Oh, they didn't come up, is the thing.
Okay.
It's one of those things where it's like they weren't immediately like the Jodes. The Jodes are in South America. Y'all never went to South America in the game.
That's very true. That's very, very true.
There's a whole lot of stuff that's like just because it doesn't get talked about, it doesn't mean it isn't canon.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know that the Aldecaldos
and the Aldecaldos were the big focus of the game. So, from a game design perspective, telling you a lot of information about other stuff is can contract from the message. Detract from the message, not contract. Not giving birth.
Whoa!
Oh, that's a really loud car.
Who's driving?
Sorry about that. I had to step outside for a quick minute. It sounded like the Aldecaldos have really hit hard times by 2077.
Yeah, they do hit hard times. The Nomads are if you read the source books in the order we sort of put them out for Red, you can start seeing why that's the case. So the seeds of that storyline are out there. You just gotta listen to the right journalists when you read those things.
Okay.
I
will.
Anyway.
Spend a little more attention.
A lot of give all of the when taken as a whole. The fiction presented in this edition of Cyberpunk presents I hope to, in the end, present a storyline through like story fragments, if that makes sense.
Sure.
That was what I've been trying to do for a while. We try to have little plot lines, but like I'm not trying to have like the way Shadowrun does it. I hate to bring them up, but where they'll like, oh no, this is different now. It is just changed.
Yeah, we'll just throw out all this conflicting information and expect the players to try and figure it all out.
No, I'm trying to do progressive story through fragmentation that you can interact with as much as you need to. Kind of like a FromSoft style thing. So read your fiction sections. Don't just skip to the items in the back of a DLC, everybody. And read the DLCs, or you're probably going to be very lost. That is, I think, now we got to find a way to get people reading these darn things.
I'm reading them. Don't always remember all of it.
Hey, I know you're reading them. You're not wrong.
I mean, we promote them with every single show we do. Every time you release a new one, we're on the tip, sharing the information.
I appreciate
boosting that signal.
I appreciate that. In my mayoral capacity, I appreciate you both.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys.
So,
So, any other source books you can hint at that might be coming down the pike in development?
I think that's all we have to talk about that we've actively announced. I don't have anything else to talk about in terms of announcements, but
you did announce something.
Down to answer some questions. What?
So there was another announcement around Tales of the Red Forlorn Hope edition.
Yes, there's an adventure book coming out. It's going to be in the Forlorn Hope. It's going to be extremely cool. Jay is crushing it on that. Jay has been just managing that whole project. So I haven't even thought about it.
One less worry for you.
And one, yeah, for sure. Jay's awesome. And got some crazy talent to work on it. So I feel comfortable just saying, awesome, I'm excited to read it whenever you're ready to show it to me. Whenever you need me to go over the math, I will go over the math and make sure it's right.
Cool.
I mean, we know that they're bringing back
Will Moss.
Yeah.
We are very excited about that. We interviewed him a while back, and he didn't let on about that at all. So
yeah,
but
well, I'm glad we got him. Personally.
That's the way it always goes. We interview you guys, and then a week later, you make some giant announcement.
Right. Or somebody lets something slip, and then it's effectively an announcement that was unplanned. Which also, but it's not going to happen here. You're not going to get me. I think that's all the that's all the new stuff. It's so freaky that there's so much new to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, so if I mentioned that a little birdie mentioned something in passing about a possible Crystal Palace,
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Okay.
I legit do not know anything about what you're saying right now. I don't know which bird told you, but they've never told me anything about that.
It was always taken with a grain of salt, so I was just curious if there was anything to that. He said it was something he overheard at Gen Con, so.
Overheard at Gen Con, huh?
Yeah.
Seems really legit, my dude.
Yeah, seems totally super legit. I just
super legit.
So legit he should have quit, in other words.
Oh, well.
And it wasn't me. I don't think it was me.
I appreciate
No, it was not you.
Absolve yourself of potential guilt.
Yeah,
It
well,
makes you look guiltier.
I had a broken rib Friday night. Yeah,
Oh.
Friday night. So I was not in the best of condition for the rest of the con. Yeah, one of those scooters took me out.
Wait, did you crash on the scooter, or did the scooter crash into you?
It was. I think it was my fault. Yeah, definitely my fault. I tried to brake a little too quick. And went.
Last Monday, I tried to get on one of those electric scooters, and they're trickier than you would be led to believe for the first time. Especially, I haven't been on a bike since the '80s.
But they're hella fun.
I think it's they are pretty fun, but I just don't think American paved streets are capable of making that a not dangerous thing.
Yeah.
We got some potholes every once in a while.
Especially when you're, got a saddlebag full of gaming books on you, and maybe a drink or two.
It's definitely going to throw your balance off.
Someday you'll have all the 5x line, and they'll be all lighter because of their size, and you won't get into that accident. I could have saved you.
I hope so. So getting
apparently, I need to go to the next Gen Con just to get the next rules or source book preview for whatever event is being run, because I'm never not going to be jealous of that.
I think if you went to Gen Con, you would be like stalking Mike for a good portion.
I mean, let's not give him any warning. Let's keep that on the down low for now, because I don't want to be classified as a freak before I even show up. Like that's not cool. That foils all my plans.
Oh, I'm sorry, I let out of the bag.
Really though, for the most part, I just show up for the swag, the buttons and posters and all that. Like that's what I go to cons for.
There is
something
beautiful.
And a lot of dice.
At least we give out promo dice.
Yes.
Promo dice are. I agree. I feel that way about promo dice.
Yeah.
I'll feel that way about pins, but I'm not sure about a button, man.
I mean,
have a sticker, Oh, thank you.
I want pins. I want stickers. I want buttons. Just all that stuff. What I want is a Cyberpunk poster, and I can't believe you guys have never put those out.
Posters are really, really tough. That's all I'm saying. Posters are real tough.
Yeah.
I think you can get Drive-Thru RPG to print you. I think we have posters.
I think you have the posters.
I'm talking about the promo posters that people send out to game stores and whatnot.
Yes, those.
James, that banner that was nicely
the
prominent.
banner, the 30-foot long banner. Like, who got to keep that?
We do let people. We have said, okay, you want to take it? Sure. Before, about the 30-foot banner. I don't know where they put it. It's funny to see them try to move it afterward.
All right. Well, if it's, let me just say I want to put my bid in now.
Hey, James, just remember, someone took a skid of magic cards.
A skid of magic cards is not a effectively useless 30-foot long.
It isn't, but where the hell are you going to put it?
That won't be relevant for another show, may I add. We just make new ones.
Yeah.
I'll put my dibs in for the new ones as well, because I don't care. I just like promo materials.
Well,
and this is my new tent, which is constructed entirely out of recycled art house Saurian Games banners from Gen Con.
Exactly. I mean, this
is my poncho.
This is my shower curtain.
Wear armor jacket.
This is my car cover. I mean, all the good stuff.
I wrapped my car in art house.
So, can you tell us a little bit about what's happening in Sugarworm Valley?
Sugarworm Village now.
Village.
We went back to the old name. Yeah, so, okay. So I have a company as well called James Hutt Games, which is owned by me. I work there myself. Just to give me a place to do, to put things that I do in my off time. And, everybody needs an indie label. At this point in my career, I've gotten to work for fantastic, awesome, AAA stuff that I never would have ever suspected that I would ever get to do as a kid. And Sugarworm Village is the place for me to do the stuff that's brand new for me, by me, and put it out to people that I hope just want stuff by me, is my point. So that's a very bad explanation of why to have a self-publishing arm. But I just hate the idea that it's called a vanity press. Right? And this is my jealousy company. Exactly. It makes me sound vain. It's just a place where I can directly hook up the pipe from cow to mouth.
Hook it straight to the vein.
That's a very weird image.
I wanted to make it worse. Anyway, so
as it is,
what you're talking about is what happened in Sugarworm Village, which is it's going to be a full book. It's a 100-page manuscript right now. It's being edited. Full of fantastic art. It is a gothic horror game where there's this. Where it's a gothic horror game that's about improv role playing. It's specifically about like theater style improv, not like, ooh, maybe there's a third goblin around the corner style improv role playing. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
It is very much an improv game with ttrpg elements. It's in the horror genre, gothic, and the cool part about it is it has this village that's extremely detailed. There are 25 people that live there, and every person's, dreams, desires, friendships. Are they a member of the sewing club? Where does the sewing club meet? Why does the sewing club exist? What do they talk about?
Yep.
What is the... who lives in Bennett Manor? Which of these people are actually werewolves? Which of these people are secretly witches? All that good stuff. Who wants to date who? Whose mom wants them to date who? Everything. It's the idea is if I present a setting that is extremely detailed, one little valley full of stuff, then you get to be Frankenstein attacking Stardew Valley.
Yes,
that sounds good to me. I love books like that.
The audience has this has an actor on stage that's holding a stick, and that actor has to do whatever the audience tells him to.
Nice.
Because he is the monster.
He is the monster, yes.
And all he gets to do, he has to do what they say physically, but he can say whatever he wants. He gets to choose how to interpret it through his lines. And then during the game, the game master will point at people and pull them on stage in between scenes and say, hey, you're sitting out the next scene. You have these 2 pages to read about this entire character's life. Then you're going to be that character next scene until the end of the campaign.
Yeah.
So it's...
I got the preview.
So it's like throwing a play.
Yeah.
Oh, did you get to play?
I haven't played it yet. I did get
but I have read it and
preview, and I have to say, it's interesting.
How do you like it?
It's definitely a lot different than any other role playing game I've experienced. But now that you explain it a little more, I can see how interesting it'll be. I just got to find the right group to do it with.
It is. I figured that there are enough goth drama kids for this to be a niche, and I figured if I put it out myself at James Hutt Games, it can't bomb. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Can only go up.
It doesn't have to be a massive. It can only go up. That's what I'm saying.
But I have to say, the artwork is phenomenal. It's and for
It
those
really is.
who are listening.
Let me stop burying the lead about the artwork. So I went through 30,000 images that are ripped from Victorian era. So it's all contemporaneous art to the setting, which is kind of cool. It's all Victorian era magazines.
Nice.
Okay.
That's
I went through 30,000 images. I found ones that are slightly off, like they're creepy, right? Like a woman is near one that I haven't shown off is a woman is near a fireplace, and she's looking in the direction of the fire, but she's also absentmindedly cleaning something. And what I've done is, number one, I hired a professional, like a historical researcher, to restore them.
Okay.
For the first time ever. Just to clean off the grain off of them and de-yellow them and prepare them for digital.
Got it.
Then I hired a watercolor artist to go over all of them and give them a watercoloring, but also to add horror context to them.
So they're actually
And,
colored in the main book?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes, they are.
So the preview I got was the black and white images.
Yeah. In my newsletter, which you can get at jameshuttgames.com, which is how you can get a link to the early Sugarworm copy. In the newsletter, I'm showing off new watercolors this person is coming out every month. And we are approaching almost getting it all done. We're past the halfway point on the watercoloring. It's going to be a beautiful book.
Honestly, I think the black and white, I can't wait to see the color, but I think the black and white just is almost perfect the way it is. There's an image on page 49 of a woman in like a swamp sewing something in her lap. And it could just be me, but it looks like she started sewing her fingers into it because whatever she's sewing looks like it's covered in blood. And she's just got this dead-eyed stare, and it's creepy as fuck.
Yeah. So that one I'm very happy with. That's our, I think that's the daughter of the people that own the cider orchard.
Agnes Carter, yeah.
Yeah. Very, very enthused about that one. Anyway, Sugarworm Village is on the way, but it's a nights and weekends thing, and at this point, it's in editing. I'd been writing it for a year. I started last October. BT Dubs, we're like at 97 people in the newsletter, so if you want to be the 100th, you can join that at jameshuttgames.com.
I suggest it. I highly suggest it. We.
Also, I throw out. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just rambling. Go ahead.
I'm just saying. I also use it as a place to release all of the fun weekend projects that I write, like Glance, which is a tabletop role-playing game that fits on a playing card.
Yeah, it's really cool too. It's very innovative. I like the idea of a combat system that you can just memorize right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one's for like. I was like, I need a game that a camp counselor can play immediately with disinterested campers.
That's a good concept.
That was my I need a game for that circumstance. I believe Glance is that game. But the next one I'm hoping to do, it's going to take us to New York. I've been putting some stuff together for like a fun boxing game. I got really inspired by Punch-Out recently. think I'm gonna do
Like
Punch
the
Out,
old
but
NES
it's
game?
yeah.
Okay.
Punch Out, but with a TRPG element.
That I could see how that could work. I can
Well,
see how
we'll
that could be
see.
exciting.
Well, it's one of those things where it'll be for free on the newsletter eventually if I finish it. I should probably finish it now that I said that I would. But hey, I need a motivation to finish it, so here's me giving me my motivation to do that. Look out for it. A couple months, maybe next month.
Definitely will do.
yeah.
So, are you a
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077 player?
I am a Cyberpunk 2077 player. Big fan of playing Cyberpunk 2077. I played it a lot when it came out.
How about Phantom
Have you
Liberty?
have you played? Yeah.
I'm a fan of the new expansion. I like the changes they made to their core game system. I used to make video games, so this might be a little shop talky again, but big fan of what they're doing to their core gameplay loop. A lot of the perks that they switched up make the game more fun, which is cool. I kind of felt like they had some really cool stuff in the core game, but they kind of like hid it behind like loads and loads of hours of trying to go get it.
Yep.
And now it's way easier to get to quote unquote the fun part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you're doing the term is player expression, right? Where you get to express yourself by how you fight earlier on than you do in the earlier edition of the game.
Right.
It's very exciting.
There was some things that I loved. I mean, overall, I would say 80% or 80 and 90% of the stuff I loved, the changes they made. But there's a few that I kind of didn't care for. But overall.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I mean, I just when it comes to like gun combat, I'm always going to favor handguns in most of the games I play, and it's really much more difficult to run a handgun dominant game, especially now that they kind of made the enemies a little bit more bullet spongy, and they were already pretty bullet spongy. That's my only real complaint.
I recommend playing. How I played is I just, I said I'm gonna play this like it's a narrative game, and I just cranked the difficulty down because I feel like people shouldn't, survive after being shot in the head 5 times. I know Cyberpunk Red is spongy, quote unquote, but it's only spongy if you don't know how to GM armor, which admittedly a lot of new GMs don't know how to do. And yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, multiple shots to the head should not be a common occurrence.
Yeah. So you pull out the Lizzie and you pull 3 times and they should die if they're a grunt enemy.
Yeah, and
that's why I always like Halo
hard,
personally.
But I think for my next playthroughs, I'm just going to go ahead and play it on a lesser difficulty just for that reason.
I think playing on a lesser difficulty might actually be a really good way for a melee build as well to be really enjoyable, because then, the gameplay is about the way you're moving around to get to the attacks. The other thing is there's this problem that and this was a talk at GDC when I went to GDC a couple years back. The problem is there are some players that will make games unfun for themselves because they do what's easiest instead of doing what would be most fun for them.
Yeah.
Right? If you find yourself, this is for any game, right? If you find yourself just running at enemies and hitting the R button, and that is the level of player expression you want,
Yeah, you're not.
Try to put more in more in yourself in order to get more out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially when
Yeah, I agree with you.
considered a role playing game, right? You're taking on that aspect of the person you're playing.
Yes.
For me with Cyberpunk, that's what I did with my first playthrough, right? I approached it as a role playing game as opposed to gaming it, right? So that I think
Right.
is a struggle that I think a lot of new players just don't. I think they just don't. It's like a fine wine, right? You sit there, you sip it,
So-
you slowly enjoy it, you take in the nuances of it, and look at the subtleties.
And remember, you're supposed to plug your brain into Skyrim for 8 hours at a time.
Yeah,
That's not.
I mean, I got a friend who
we're
played.
playing.
And
This is what Elflines Online is about, by the way. Elflines Online is about this,
yeah.
the thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's about not doing this.
Yeah, I got a friend. I got a friend who played Cyberpunk, and all he did was he just ran through the straight main quest as quickly as he could. And then when he was done, he was like, "Man, that game was so short. Why do you like it so much?" I'm like, "Because I played the actual game, dude. What are you doing?"
Yeah. Get on a motorcycle, and turn off your HUD, and drive around.
Yeah.
Like the best parts of any game are going to be like the side quests and stuff like that.
Or just explore it.
It frustrates me.
Oh, there's this great there's this great, I think it's a CDPR interview where they talk about that one quest with the crucifixion thing that happens.
Yeah.
It can happen at the end of it.
Yeah.
And they actually talked about it being really missable. And so they talked about the ways that they tried to show you, hey, maybe you should do this.
Yeah, don't just run up and kill the dude, because the guy who's saying
run.
he's already dead.
I ran up and killed the dude. I did not follow my own advice here. I didn't understand what the hell was going on, just because I hadn't been canalized to do that. And frankly, it's because you can't shove a game full of that many rich quests. So I didn't know that this was going to be a rich quest.
Yeah, I had a friend who played the game for about, he played the main quests, did all the side quests, played the crucifixion, didn't get in the truck, and of course he was one of my Cyberpunk players. So after about 8 months, we're talking about 2077, and he's like, I'm just amazed at like all the little details they put in. They have like a poster about a brain dance of a crucifixion. I'm like, yeah, what are the adventures is that? He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, the guy you were supposed to assassinate with that guy in the truck. He's like, yeah, I just said I wasn't getting in the truck and I just left, and the quest completed without him have to worrying about it. I'm like, you need to go in the truck, follow that whole thing, and it is an experience.
So I will say that there's a school of thought that says that in game design you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't have opt-out points, because what they're essentially doing, he opted out of fun. He didn't even know he was doing that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, I can fall on both sides of that argument. I'm a huge open world, freedom of everything kind of guy. So I like the idea that you can opt out. But at the same time, I'm mad that on my main playthrough I missed Scorpion's funeral and getting Stinger. Like, I just missed that quest because I didn't hang around the Nomad camp.
It was kind of a hard miss because it wasn't necessarily you had to be in the Nomad camp. You had to be actually out near the grave site. And you have to wait for him to call you, and it only happens between these two missions. And I just missed it completely. I didn't find out about it until like I was almost done with the game, and I was like, I wonder if I just happened to do a search. Like, is there an iconic knife anywhere? Yeah,
And, oh, there's
that's
one, and I missed it. Hmm.
that one is very easy to miss. But
Yeah.
even the main quest within Phantom Liberty, you can avoid it, and
Yeah.
there's not too much repercussions for you avoiding it. So you don't get to experience the main quest, but you still can do all the side quests in Dogtown.
Yeah. As someone who literally, like, I will listen to every line of dialogue I can. I will read every single shard. I will go in every dark corner just to see if there's anything there, or just to see the effort that the developers put into making it. Like, I love
Yeah.
exploration. That's my favorite thing to do in games.
Yep.
So I don't tend to miss much, but when I do, it really sticks in my craw.
So, James, what red Easter eggs did you find in Phantom Liberty? Or do you want to
I have to say, why don't you tell me the ones I know there's a lot of Jirafa stuff, but I don't actually know much else other than that.
There is
I
one
kind of,
shard that
I'm
goes into the red era.
Time of the Red
Yeah,
talks about the Red era,
yeah.
right?
Those are the two that I specifically found. I mean, granted, now that I got to memorize all the lore you guys pushed out, and I got to reread all the red books, I think, again, and then do another playthrough, or
Uh,
have the library next to me, and every time I see something, I gotta quickly look it up in the repository
yeah,
of books I
those
have.
are those are the ones that I'm aware of. I will say that I am taking the. I went through just to make sure that everything in the Edgerunners book after the update is still going to be relevant. And I will say that everything in that book, well, the box set, the Edgerunners thing, mission kit, um, everything in the mission kit is going to be relevant to the new update. So it's all we did that work already, and I have not.
That was going to be
I've
my
been
next
sipping.
question.
I have been sipping on the new Cyberpunk stuff, video game wise.
Yeah.
Just because initially when it came out, I had to play it, and now I can enjoy bits of it, and we make use of a lot of like watching playthroughs and whatnot when we
See,
design, especially on Witcher, because like there's so much stuff in Witcher 3.
I didn't get to play Phantom Liberty for the first week because I'm on PlayStation, and we had that
uh,
corrupt save glitch thing that was going on.
ooh,
Yeah, so it took them a week to put out the patch for that, and then I dove straight in and didn't come up for air uh, until I had grown a beard.
mm, mm. I see. I'm assuming you did the same for Starfield.
Uh, my
Joke.
funds are
That's a
very
joke. I'm
limited.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I would love to
didn't
play
come
Starfield. It
here.
looks beautiful,
I didn't
but
come here just to cause violence.
violence. Violence is always the
I
answer.
I
It is
streamed
Cyberpunk.
Starfield onto my Xbox because I have Xbox Game Pass. So they
Oh,
were like,
nice.
"Sure, you can stream it now." And I'm like, "Great." There's a reason you shouldn't stream video games. There's a really big reason why you shouldn't stream video games. I will say, streaming Starfield onto my old model Xbox m- made me really, really appreciate CDPR and all they do.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Um,
The reports that are coming out, um,
the
they
thing
can
is
get
that
kind of
their
angry.
glitches aren't funny like Cyberpunk glitches were.
You know,
You know what I mean?
I played from launch on PS4, and while I experienced some glitches and some blue screens and whatnot, nothing was really game breaking. I never could figure out what anybody was talking about. The
Oh,
the corrupt
I
save,
played.
that was game breaking, but it only
Yeah.
lasted a week, so
Depending
I'm
upon
okay.
the street, right? So the streets that had the more neon lights. If you were driving a motorcycle, you would do the T shape without pants. on a motorcycle driving down
Hey,
the
That
street.
never happened to
don't
me.
you
And
do
if it
that in
did, I
real
would
life?
die.
Yeah,
Don't
in
you
my
in real life T-shape without pants on a motorcycle?
in my
Uh,
in my youth, maybe. But I would
I'm a
not.
pretty hefty dude. I don't want to get harpooned driving down the street. No.
Uh,
Some dude chasing after me with a peg leg, talking about she blows. No, no.
wait, no, it'd be like the new James Cameron.
The new what now?
James Cameron.
Oh yeah, sorry. You kind of cut out when you said it, and I was like, I missed.
Phone
All I
call.
heard. Yeah.
Um,
So,
uh,
just change up subjects. So, in the past
yeah.
1 to 2 decades, you see more and more like theater concepts being brought into tabletop role playing game. Case in point, Sugar Worm Village. And do you see that like the hack and slash or dungeon crawl being phased out more, or do you think it's going to be like a cylindrical cycle or of phases in which people how they play tabletop games?
I think that's not it. I think there's an expansion of everything. There's so much more of everything than there used to be.
Yeah.
That there's now room for stuff that isn't what originally was conceived of as a tabletop role playing game. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are so many trends out there, and sometimes one gains more traction than others. Like right now, the trend is for much more simplistic or simple rules. You don't see a lot of the like old school Dungeons and Dragons games or Rifts or
Dungeon
GURPS.
Crawl Classics is a real thing, and
It is. It
there's a
is. I mean,
whole lot of it.
there's still that edge to it, but it's not the modern trend.
That's
But
true.
the old school players will always, they'll. It's not pie. We're not going to run out of people wanting to play one game versus another. The fan base just keeps getting bigger.
That's what I'm saying. I wish more people had that opinion.
Yeah.
It isn't like pie. My good thing doesn't delete your good thing.
There is a game out there to appeal to anybody and any taste. And there's just more of it coming out every day, and everybody should be able to find something they enjoy.
And I know you didn't mean that by your question, my dude. It's just that I've been around a lot of internet discourse, so I like to begin with that caveat to this discussion.
Right.
Yeah, it gets real salty.
It gets a little salty, and in public they go like, "Oh, when are you doing that? Can I get an invite?" But on the internet, that's not how it goes. Right?
Yeah, everybody wants to gatekeep on the internet, and it's really tiresome. Like, let people don't
offline
get other people's yums.
And offline people just want invitations to your ttrpg group.
Yeah, like right? I don't want to be left out. Can I come play? That sounds fun.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of there are trends, right? And I think there's like a lot of times it's like somebody explores a new space and then people go, I really like that flavor, right? And then they make a bunch of them, right? And the initial guy or girl, whatever, goes something else now, and they go do something else, right? And develop a new thing that might not get traction, might get traction, whatnot. And I think what that looks like from the outside is a series of fads. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, most definitely.
I used to believe, by the way, opposite to what I'm describing now. I used to believe that there was a pendulum that went from like a simulationist place to a gamist place, if that made sense.
That actually makes perfect sense.
And the thing is, false equivalency, in my opinion.
Yeah, because eventually that pendulum is going to start going. It's going left and right. Eventually, it's going to start going up and down and diagonally.
Unfortunately, yes, exactly, because the pendulum does not move like a pendulum between 2 points. The pendulum goes wherever the heck the pendulum wants. It's merely our pattern-seeking brains thinking that, the only place it can go is back to where it was. No, it's going to go someplace we don't know shit about.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We are being far too... the opposite of humble, whatever the hell that is. I don't even know the word for it. Probably it's a bad sign.
Yeah.
Braggadocious.
Well, I think from my point of view,
I can remember words right now.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So from my point of view, with the whole concepts, especially with how the game trend is changing, and I have quite a few decades of role playing games behind me. There's a maturity level to gamers, right? And I don't talk about, when I say maturity level, I mean gaming maturity, not necessarily. Well, it also combines with
what you mean.
Real maturity, right? Because a lot of
years
players
happen either way.
Yeah, years happen, experience happens. Your tastes change, of course, over time, and you start appreciating certain aspects of a game. And I think some players often kind of put themselves in a box of, this is the system I'm going to play, right? So it's Dungeons and Dragons, until eventually someone new comes in and introduces a different game to them. Like when I first started out, yes, Dungeons and Dragons was the big game, but there was also Traveler, there was also Gamma World, there was also Tunnels and Trolls, there was RuneQuest. So for
everybody on Earth needs a cool older brother.
Yeah. Or
that's what that means.
It's not only older brother, but it's also people with other flavors before they even get into gaming, right? So some people like sword and sorcery, some people like sci-fi, some people like cyberpunk, near future, right? And bringing those and knowing that there's a game out there that does that, which I think, I'm not sure if it's harder now to try to find those for players. Yeah, you have drive-through RPG, but when you go to a gaming store, some gaming stores just have either they have just Dungeons and Dragons with maybe one or two other role-playing games, or you get the rare game stores that actually have a larger selection.
I'm very spoiled in Seattle. Almost every game store carries indie.
Yeah.
Just because I live near Watsy.
Yep.
So
game stores themselves are not the creatures they were back in, say, the 90s.
That's true. And, they're not like comic book shop level nerd
havens.
Nerd havens, right? They're not
like.
Unfortunately, a good number of them aren't like third spaces anymore.
Right, like you don't see the giant selection of used and older games that you used to see. That's valuable shelf space that can be taken up by Magic the Gathering. That's what game stores are mostly about: Magic the Gathering and board games. Because somehow board games have become huge.
There's also Warhammer 40K, right?
I was in France recently. Not a brag. But I tried to find tabletop role-playing games when I went. I was trying to see their stores and see what they did. And what they have is a bunch of things that are essentially just card shops.
Yeah.
And that's all they are. And they have table space to pay cards, and they have cards. Well, they have a couple of games. Yeah, they'll have Pokemon. They'll have Magic. 2 had Flesh and Blood that I went to. I went to a couple of these things. And I couldn't find like a Western a tabletop store in the way that we have tabletop stores in the US shop. there. I found places that sold board games. I found places that sold books that also sold tabletop role-playing games, but those are definitely book stores.
Right.
Yeah.
And I saw card shops, which are, you know, you get your soda, you get your pack of Magic cards, and you sit down.
Well, also with all the
by the
used
way,
games, like
a lot of them have like signs, and this is an aside. They have signs that say like, "Hey, don't do trading here," which is super weird.
that is weird. Like some of those games, that's the entire point of them.
Yeah. I think they thought that. I think the store itself sells cards. They're worried that you're gonna like trade for them, which seems backwards. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Instead, you just got a bunch of hooligans hanging outside there, nerdligans hanging outside in front of the store.
Now, just so
trading
I don't get
cards like
assassinated,
drugs.
everyone I met in all of these stores was amazing and awesome, and I had a great experience in Paris. That's it.
Well, yeah, because
Needed to
gamers
add
are
that.
gamers, and
Of
gamers
course,
are always
gamers
awesome.
are gamers. That's what I'm saying. So where were we? Before I tried not to get killed?
Well, we were
was
talking
gonna
about the
say-
trends within gaming nowadays versus, is it how is that getting approached and how people are evolving, or at least the gaming industry, I think, from a role playing.
Gaming trends are weird because they don't necessarily follow pop culture trends as much as kind of create them half the time. Like when Vampire the Masquerade hit in the 90s, like people don't understand how huge that was. And it just came out of nowhere. Suddenly, like, I mean, it was following in the footsteps of Anne Rice and whatnot, but
that game is really significant.
Yeah, like
Remember
how
I
much
said everybody likes giant robots at Tal. A good number of people also like Vampire.
Yeah, I mean, it tapped into a market that people hadn't really embraced. Like before Vampire the Masquerade came out, the only time you ever saw vampires in games was as monsters, which in no way related to what they were in popular culture. Like a Dungeons and Dragons vampire is this weird. I mean, it kind of looks like it if you squint.
Stat blocks if you squint, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, but I think Masquerade had success because it, and I don't think it was the first one to do LARP, but they did LARP well, right?
Well, not only did they do LARP, but their basic rules for the actual tabletop role-playing game were almost identical to Cyberpunk's in that it was a very deadly system. It was a very, it was overall very simple and like once you got it, once you understood the mechanic of it, that mechanic worked for everything. And it was consistent. And it really reached out to a new demographic of like the goth theater kids that.
Goth theater kids. Won't somebody make a game for the goth theater kids? Yeah, I think
James, get on that.
Shouldn't join my newsletter at james.games.com. You goth theater kid.
And then, but I mean, that's how the trends in gaming work. Like they just kind of come out of nowhere. Savage Worlds was the first game to really do that, like overly simplistic style of rules, where it's the rules don't matter as much as keeping the game going in whatever line it's going. And they started that whole trend, and the trend of like grabbing every IP and genre you can and lumping it all together.
Yep. Well, even now you see the resurgence of the old crunch games. Like I was surprised how first edition came back. I thought Taco would be dead, long gone, because of third edition, never to see light again.
I have one time I was in in this store, and there's this guy there. He was there for a first edition game, and he had a 1 inch thick, just like it wasn't a, it was almost like a thin binder that was one character sheet that this guy had been playing.
Jesus.
It was nearly a second life this man had acted out over the course of many years of gaming.
Back in the day with Living City, it was some of them were insane with like how many characters they would come with like this binder. And granted, the binder was just full of magic items. Oftentimes, those players I hated so much because every time, no matter what, oh, there's a magic item for at the end of the table, so one person's not going to get it. Well, let's roll for it. And like, dude, you got a binder like full of magic items.
Some World of Warcraft shit. I'm gonna roll. Does anyone mind if I roll on this item?
Yeah.
I need this for my healing bill. My alt.
Yeah. It's a hunter item.
I played a hunter. Everything was a hunter item.
Dude, it's plate. Yeah, well, I'm a disenchanter.
One time I'm not gonna. You've activated my trap card. Don't talk about World of Warcraft near me.
Yes, I was one of those.
Did you play during Burning Crusade?
I played up until Warlords of Draenor, and then I just couldn't take the grind anymore. The daily grinds.
Fair enough. I never did daily quest.
I never played Warcraft. I did play EverQuest pretty consistently for way longer than I should have.
One time in Bandcamp, there was this tank. There was this tank that was being very, very, very mean. During this one dungeon in Burning Crusade that had all these little had these little prisons that would open up and spawn randomly generated enemies.
Yep.
Sort of like you get one of 3 bosses to be one of them, right?
Yep.
And at the end of it, dropped the sword that was the entry level sword for raids, for tanking in a raid, right?
Yep.
Right, and it dropped. But this guy had been such a not nice gentleman that I lost it in a moment, and I rolled need on it, and I took it from him. And he needed it to go into raids. He was grinding this thing. He went off. He exploded in rage.
Yeah.
And I went to Shatterath, and I paid someone to put plus 40 agility enchantment on it. And then I linked it to him in a whisper, and I said, "It's a hunter item now."
Oh, dude, that's just pouring salt.
That's awesome. That's brilliant karma. That's a brilliant karma exchange right there.
And for a week, he yelled about it on trade chat.
Of course.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I may have messaged him when I got on for the next couple of days saying, "How you doing, man?" But that is the most petty thing I ever did in a tabletop. In a non-tabletop role-playing game.
Yeah.
And definitely just know that person is everyone on Elfline Online.
Right. And I wish Matrix Online actually took off a little better, because that would have been the
Mike
closest.
did a lot of work on Matrix Online.
I know he did. It's a shame because
he's told me stuff about that game. It was very cool.
Yeah.
In Japan, they had an Appleseed online game that I've wanted to play so fucking badly.
They don't have like a crack of it that you can download? And,
you can't download anything of it anymore. It lasted like 6 months and then it was gone.
Man, and nobody sometimes when they do that, you can find it and like you have to do a bunch of work to get it running. Like you have to run a mini server or something. But nowadays, computers are good enough that you can like kind of run a old MMO thing on it and play it as a dead game, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, well, if
In the
anybody knows how to do
future,
that Battlefield Online, get a hold of me and let me know because I'm dying.
in the future, a lot of the MMOs right now will be exclusively playable as dead games. Like if you want to play WildStar Online, that's going to be a dead game. There are people that did City of Heroes, I think. Cody was a big fan of that game.
Yeah,
City
I
of
think
Heroes,
City
City
of
of
the
Elves.
Heroes is still around. There are some servers out there for that, and you even see Blizzards who came out with vanilla after 15
Yeah,
years.
unfortunately, did you hear the saddest thing happened?
They
The
started.
Chinese servers for World of Warcraft went down.
Oh, really?
The official ones. Yeah,
Jeez.
and those I say it's one of the most like. You ever watch those last minutes of an MMO videos
Yeah.
on YouTube?
Oh,
Well,
those
they'll
are so
have like
sad.
that is the worst thing for a. That's like it's like that's the "In the Arms of the Angels" song. Uh,
Oh, Lord.
that one. That's that, but for MMO gamers.
Right. So moving on to
Uh,
another topic that I kind of was thinking about recently was with the
me.
proliferation of like AI generators and just how much
Ah,
content they're doing. Do you think the data crash is on the horizon for the real world?
data crash for the real world, and it's AI driven.
Well, the how much content is
I think
being
that the
AI
data
created?
crash. I think the data crash from the real world will come from a state actor
So,
and not a and not an artificial intelligence. I think we're going to do it to ourselves. Um,
well, as the
personally,
AI generators get more and more sophisticated, how are you going to tell truth from falsehoods?
fiction, fact checking, just like we tell truth from falsehoods right now. I think there won't stop being fact checkers just because there's more lies. Um, and I think that uh, in terms of like how can you tell that a piece of art isn't AI generated? Yes, there will come a time when the layman doesn't know,
Right.
but the enthusiast will always know.
Yeah.
Um, because look, I know AI can write. I just know it can't do prose. And importantly, I know it can't deliver on a childhood dream that it's never had.
Right. Yeah.
And it won't ever be able to do that. It'll just be able to confuse people who don't know any better.
Right.
I will be right back.
Yeah. So my wife is an editor, and she's doing an anthology right now and taking in submissions, and she says, yeah, there's a good chunk of people who try to submit AI generated stories. And she's like, I can tell right off the bat which ones aren't. I'm like, even if you don't think the person, their first language isn't English? And she's like, yeah, just how AI structures
Mm-hmm.
phrases and stuff. But I was watching an actual BBC segment in which, like, YouTube content and how a vast majority of creators are using AI generated scripts to create content, and oftentimes it's falsehoods, right? Like the pyramids are a source of energy that the ancient Egyptians used, and why isn't today's people using them? And how the
Grain storage.
how
I
those
just I
creators are
just think that
targeting
there's a
the youth.
difference between yeah, that's I mean, YouTube is a dystopian place.
Yes.
It's
Well,
been a
True.
dystopian place for
all,
many years.
all social media has turned into a dystopian hellhole, which is a shame.
I think the data pool is getting worse every couple of years. Um, but I think that Discord communities are the return to the old message boards, right? Remember when you used to have message boards?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I think Discord is just a modern message board. It's so great to be in an era of message boards again. And message boards, you think about it originally, they were like, let's go to a place where we can share with people that are like us, right? Um, and why did that happen? It happened because of the need. And the need is, I can't otherwise. Well, now you got all this weird flooding on every other channel, and we have that need again. And thus the solution arises. I just think that humans are really good at making problems for themselves. They're also good at good at solving problems they've created for themselves.
Yeah, but
You know what I mean?
message boards always. I mean, it was a little more, from my opinion, it's a little more tamer than some of the other social media platforms. But you did have the flame wars, right? They were notorious. In which
I mean,
you go to the
flame
wrong
wars are going to
message
happen
board.
anywhere
Yeah.
where there's not any kind of moderation.
Yeah.
And
I prefer Flame War any day to any amount of Twitch brigading I've seen.
Yeah.
That shit is nasty.
Yes.
Anyway,
I mean, I miss the early days of the internet, where everything wasn't so uniform. I think there was a lot more personal expression back then, where now everything's a wiki page or a Reddit channel.
I don't like auto-generated wiki pages.
No.
That's not my favorite thing.
And I mean, there's always going to be echo chambers, but I miss internet forums. It's just like Discord is there, but it's almost more hassle than it's worth trying to find your place there.
Right.
And the same with Reddit, the same with all the modern versions of the message boards. It's just indicative of the world as a whole being a much more unkind place for anytime there's a gathering of internet people,
Yeah.
I guess.
I would say it's sad part is it's still all about, step outside of your front door and go find your community in your backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The idea that bad D&D is worse than no D&D, you know that vibe?
Yeah, that's a
I think that
that's a holdover that people just won't let go of.
The tendency to cut and run is a little bit too much now. I think bad D&D can be made into better D&D.
Yep.
Sometimes.
It's very
when people
very
go,
situational.
how do I make a group? It's situational, of course, but if you're not in school anymore, you know what I mean? You kind of have to be the change you see in the world sometimes. The answer is, if you're asking this question, you should become a GM.
Yes. Yes. There
Right?
should be more GMs in the world. I agree.
GMs happen when somebody, hears that and then goes, what is it? The grabs Infinity Gauntlet and goes, fine, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest problem with GMing is GMs run the games that they wish they were playing in. And that's the double-edged sword. Is because you don't get to, you don't get to play in those games. You just get to run.
Oh, that's deep.
So we're close to time for our wonderful podcast. So I guess finishing up, is there anything you have questions for us or anything else you want to tell the audience?
Oh, So we do like to cycle playtesters at our Talsorian. And we're about to go into another cycle where we're looking to bring on more playtesters in a couple of weeks. So if you stay around the Discord, that message of like, hey, does anybody wanna is gonna go out. And I will say that is an extremely cool experience. If you've never done that, you get your name in the book. It's a unique kind of thing that not everybody gets to do. So if you're hearing this message and you're thinking, maybe I could do it, try.
Yep.
We'd love to, we'd love to have some
So-
more playtesters.
Specifically, where
We
do they
need
go to
some
sign up
fresh
for that?
blood. They need to hang around the Discord, and there will be a message
All right.
in the next couple of weeks. Likely, the people who are hearing this are already there.
Yep.
On the
And-
Discord.
And,
This is one of those. It came from inside the house podcasts. You know,
yeah.
when the phone
Maybe this
rings
time
here,
I'll
we
get
go.
on. I've tried before. It never happened, but I'm
What?
going to try again and keep trying.
How have you not? Man, I
I don't
thought you were.
I wish.
You just never were around there for one of the onboarding call outs.
It sounds like it.
Well, I'm letting
Well-
you know it's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Well, Wisdom
All
doesn't
right.
pay attention to Discord as much as he should.
Fair
get-
enough.
When I turn on the notifications, I get notifications like I can't sleep because of them. So
I turned off my notifications, and I will never turn them back on.
yeah, no, this is the way.
And also,
If you need me, send a smoke signal.
I would tell players that it's a nice interruption to your campaign that you might be running or to whatever game you might be running to do some play testing. I actually did that before the Gen Con games. So I did play test the Edgerunner new rules. So I got feedback from, some Cyberpunk 2020 players on the rules and got some feedback from them
Oh,
on
yeah.
that. And it's interesting to watch them pick apart because I do have one player who is a big number cruncher and rules abuser. So it's always nice to have one of those.
One in every party.
Yes, in a play testing game because they will actually give you pretty good feedback on how you're running as a GM, and also give you some advice on how the rules should kind of be implemented when you do run it, which is always nice to have.
So I think that's the last call out, and I already
Yep.
told you guys about my newsletter a couple of times, but
Yes.
it's james.games.com. We're at 97.
Absolutely.
Please, I need to be
Yes.
at 100. Help me.
Yes,
3 of you.
all of you guys. I'm already a subscriber, so I
Yeah, me too. Since the last time you were on the show,
will
go out and join the newsletter, people.
Yeah, I will post where I can, and hopefully we can get some more people to subscribe. To
Appreciate it.
because that preview that you did of Sugarworm, I really liked.
I mean, Sugarworm looks tip top. Like I know people who that game would speak to in their very soul, and I've shared it with them, and they can't wait for the final product. They can't wait to give you money.
I'm hoping to do one of those a year. That's my goal. One of them every year and a half or year or so. That's my goal at James Hutt Games. So I'm glad people are excited. Anyway, it's been great. Thanks for having me on, everybody.
Thanks. So, other than jameshutt.com, is there what other avenues can people come in? Sorry, apologies. Where else can they check your stuff out?
That's the one place for me and me only content. I have a podcast with John the Wise. Happens monthly. That's a good place to keep in the loop with me and get to hear us yuck it up. Of course, that should be your second favorite podcast after this one you're listening to right now.
Agreed.
But and watch out for those Artelsorian DLCs. Make sure you enjoy the Haunted Vendit that just dropped. I think that would be a perfect Halloween game.
Yes.
For Cyberpunk, of course. And other than that, I mean, I don't post. I don't go on social media. So
You're like me.
I got too much things to do.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
To do that.
Well, we appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
And we look
James,
forward to
you are always welcome to join us. We hope to have you on again in the future.
I hope to come on in the future. Stay in the loop.
So.
And you are doing a great job at Artelsorian and with your own projects.
Agreed.
Thanks.
So, for our listeners, you can check me out, Cybersmily, at cybersmily.net. I run a website for Cyberpunk Red and Cyberpunk 2020 stuff. There's a bunch of utilities, random generators, some rule mods, fun stuff like that. I also lurk on several of the various Cyberpunk discords. Of course, Artelsorian being the main one, but several others. I also have my own Discord that you can always join. A link is on my site, so go check out my site. And I also lurk about the various Reddits of Cyberpunk, so oftentimes I read up and keep up with the current news.
I am Wisdom000. My name is Derek Bernier. I run Datafortress2020, the largest, most comprehensive Cyberpunk 2020 site out there. You can also find me at Facebook at both the Cyberpunk 2020 group and the Datafortress 2020 group, as well as Cybernation Uncensored and pretty much any other Cyberpunk related group out there. The same with Red. You'll find me at any of the Cyberpunk 2020, Red, or 2077 groups, mostly lurking. As stated, I'm on Discord, although my presence is much more understated. Please, if you're out there listening and you want to make any comments, criticisms, complaints, suggestions, get a hold of us through any means necessary.
Yep.
We love hearing from you. Thank you so much for listening to us.
We also have a channel on Cybernation Uncensored's Discord server, so you can always pop in, post questions there. And also
you can
thank Rob Mulligan for hosting us on his wonderful Cybernation Uncensored channels through his YouTube, his Twitch, his Discord server,
you can find
all his other avenues of media.
You can find all our old episodes and interviews at the Tales from the Forlorn Dopes playlist at the Cybernation Uncensored YouTube channel. And yeah, thank you so very much, everyone.
Thank you. We'll be back in 2 weeks. I don't think we have a topic for the next session, but we do have a guest we're trying to coordinate with. Hopefully they will make an appearance. But we will see what we can do. And again, thank you, James, for joining us, and see everyone later.
Anytime.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Cybernation Uncensored.